Alrighty, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I'm your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in the color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. We are here. We are now. We are live. This is entertainment. This is Grande's Graveyard. And ladies and gents, we had quite a doozy of a day here in the old NY. I don't know about y'all. I know my good friends in Texas, they are struggling really bad with all the snow and whatnot. But man, we got clobbered with a nice storm today. I think they predicted 8 inches, and it ended up being a little bit worse than that. I mean, give or take sometimes. But man, we got clobbered pretty hard. Work was a little stressful, it wasn't too fun of a day, but I'm glad to be here talking all things horror, graveyard, and whatnot with y'all. We already got our first entrant into the graveyard tonight, Mr. Soulless Trenchcoat. What's going on, good brother? Hope all is well with you, Trenchy. I originally was going to have AJ Zetro on the show, and we were going to do Maniac remake, and a little horror trivia game at the end. Unfortunately, AJ couldn't make it on the show tonight, so I decided, I was like, so I got to call an audible tonight. What should I do? And I figured if it's going to snow today, and it's been snowing, I mean, pretty much everywhere in the country. I mean, we've just been getting clobbered with snowstorm after snowstorm. I figured why not pick two lesser talked about winter themed horror movie gems. And I came up with these two just because I recently rewatched this one. I actually talked about it on the show last week, Orphan. And I just rewatched this. I mean, I swear to you, last week. So I hadn't seen it since theaters in like 2009. So it was really fun to revisit this one. And I had almost forgotten that it took place like during wintertime. But I figured, hell, why not? I've never talked about this on the show. I've never even talked about any like Killer Kids films on the show before. So I figured, why the heck not? I figured this would be a fun one to discuss. Orphan. And the other one from 2010, it is Frozen. So these are going to be the two graveyard specialties tonight. I'm going to be looking in depth on both of these movies. I actually got the privilege to rewatch this last night. This is a really awesome little movie. And we're going to get into that. We've had snow on and off, not really getting the brunt of it though. I'm good, thanks, dude. Good to hear. I'm glad somebody didn't get pounded with too much snow. Yeah, man. It had been, and I will get into it when I get into it. It had been, has to be close to 10 years since I had seen, probably over 10 years since I had seen Orphan. And man, it's such a good fucking film. Really well directed. I'm excited to get into that one because it was one of those where I saw it initially and I liked it. And I remember when the movie came out, it had a lot of buzz, but it wasn't until I just went back and rewatched it, maybe through adult eyes. I think the movie came out when I was in like early middle school, somewhere around there, seventh or eighth grade. And I was like, I thought it was good then, but I was blown away by it now. It's a really, really good film. So I'm excited to get into that one for sure. I think Frozen gets overshadowed by a Disney film with the same name. Yeah, we'll get into all that. We will get into all that good stuff. But I figure there's no better way to start this off than a little bit of not an unboxing, more of like an unpackaging, because actually this morning when I got up to shovel at I don't know, 8 a.m. ish, I saw this on my front doorstep, and I was pretty freaking stoked. A Fright Rags package. Oh shit! I actually know what it is, but I figured why the hell not open this live on camera in front of y'all. So we're gonna do a little bit of an unboxing here, unpackaging, if you will. I love Fright Rags, man. The way they give all their shit, it's just so sick. Let's see. Oh man, this is really cool. I don't know. I'm just checking if they give any of that extra stuff in here. Let's see. Oh, this is OP. Okay, they did give an extra. They give a little candy, and I think a trading card. Yeah, a trading card or two. Okay, so we can go through. We can go through what we got a little bit. First of all, they got to hook you up with some candy, right? So they got toxic waste black cherry candy right here. I don't know. It's not really rendering into the camera. I'm sorry. This is an HD web camera. I have no idea why it doesn't render in, but it says hazardously sour candy. So that's fucking awesome. I can't wait. I might try this at the end of the show, maybe a live on camera. We'll give a live taste reaction to toxic waste. Hopefully I don't turn into the Toxic Avenger. But this is actually a duplicate. I have this card already. A little pink on the back. I like that. But it is none other than Tom Atkins in Halloween 3. He's screaming, "Stop it." There's fun film fact on the back. Tom Atkins contracted pneumonia while on set for this film. That's pretty crazy. I didn't know that until I got this card, but I've gotten this card before. Um, and then for all my diehard anthology horror fans, they gave us a little bit of a sticker here. Trick or treat. Ooh, yeah. I actually have the Sam NECA figure that my great friend from work, Brienne, she actually got it for me for my birthday. And now I know what I can put on the box because this is badass sticker. Of course, it's Sam and then the kids from the school bus massacre. Love how Fright Rags packages all their stuff. Throw in these little essential things, just kind of keep it fresh. But for the main appetizer, well, I guess the main entree, this shirt was only in print for 4 days, and I know 25% of the proceeds went to the George Romero Foundation, which I am thrilled that it did because I'm a huge fan of George Romero. May he rest in peace. But this is the Godfather of the Dead T-shirt here, George Romero. I can't really see how well y'all see that, but this is oh freaking P, man. They've got all the detail from almost all of George's films on here. They've got Creep Show there at the bottom. I see Bruiser, Martin, The Crazies, Night of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I see the Dark Half in the corners, the little sparrows. This is badass. The little calendar from Day. Um, this is just an awesome T-shirt here. I know it was only in print for 4 days, so it's not anything I could be like, oh, go pick this up. But it was a limited time only, just because it was going, the proceeds were going to the Romero Foundation. So I was like, you know what, I want to jump on that because George Romero is one of my favorite all-time filmmakers. So I was like, oh, cool, why not support the man? I know they did one for Fulci as well. His was The Godfather of Gore, and this is The Godfather of the Dead. So I don't know, maybe the next one will be Wes Craven or John Carpenter. I don't know, The Godfather of Horror, if you will. That would be really, really cool stuff. But I don't know. I just figured I'd do that fun little unboxing because I was like, oh man, what perfect day to get it on show day, at 8 a.m. in the morning when I'm shoveling, feeling bad for myself. I'm like, yo, that's going to be an unboxing for later. I figured that'd be a lot of fun. Good brother, Frank Dormani's in the Heezy. Perfect timing, dude. Absolutely perfect timing. I agree, man. Chilling like a villain tonight. Hope all is well with you, Frank. Hope I don't know if you got hit with snow, but we got fucking clobbered, man. I have the figure too, the clothed one, dude. Yeah, I was floored to get the NECA figure because I don't have too many. They're a little bit pricey usually for me, but like, fuck, man, it's so awesome. That and the Friday 13 Part 5 Roy figure, I'd love to have those two, and maybe even Halloween 2, the Michael one, just because I love Halloween 2. But yeah, no, I was super stoked to get that, and I'm a big fan of Trick or Treat. That's a great movie. Oh, yo, for real, for real. I love George Romero. No snow at all, dude. I'm fucking jealous, man. Fuck me. Today was such a stressful day because of the snow, and I don't know, it just sucked. But what better time to transition into our two films of the evening here, both themed around winter snow time. So this kind of all worked out. It's funny, like the winter in December and January didn't hit us at all. February hit us like a fucking Japanese bullet train, dude. It came through and just nailed our poor little town. So I mean, it is what it is, but we got to move on from that. But I guess that without further ado, I can get into the topic at hand. First of all, we're going to talk about from 2010. It's not starring Kristen Bell. It stars Emma Bell when Kevin Zegers and Sean Ashmore from the X-Men movies, who played Iceman, nevertheless, weirdly enough. And it is Adam Green's Frozen from 2010. I actually have a fun little anecdote with this movie because of my history with Adam Green. Now, Adam Green's a guy, for people that don't know, he in 2006, he was an up and coming filmmaker. He had made a really cheap film called, I think, Coffee and Donuts. And he was real up and comer. And there was this huge buzz around his second feature length film, which was called Hatchet. And for years, you heard buzz about this movie. I'm saying like mid to early 2004, you were hearing, holy shit, freaking Hatchet, man. Hatchet's coming out. This is the movie that's going to reinvent horror. This is the movie that's going to move horror along. And it's old school American horror reborn. It's not a remake. It's not a sequel. It's not a Japanese remake. That even, I believe, was one of the marketing campaigns. This is not a Japanese remake. Thanks. Do you deserve bonus points for that? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But I remember all the hype for Hatchet and just being like super excited and hearing Robert Englund's name involved. Kane Hodder was going to play the main antagonist. And we were going to get an old school 80s like slasher film. And at that time, everybody and their mother was anticipating the film. It took a long time for the film to come out. And then unfortunately, when it did, I was thoroughly disappointed with it. Just because, and I've gone on to talk about this with a lot of people, even Neon Black Reviews, who's a guest on the show past couple weeks. He made me realize why I don't like Hatchet. It's because of the tone and the goofy nature of it. Whereas the Friday the 13th movies and slashers at that era, they had a goof factor. When they were serious, they really got serious. And Hatchet was one of those films that just never really clicked it into the serious gear for me. I appreciated the practical gore effects and I appreciated not using CGI. But where it went wrong was some of the acting, some of the characters, some of the overall just goofiness to it. It just couldn't decide what it wanted to be. And then I heard that this movie, along with Hatchet 2, was coming out. And man, I will be honest, I was dreading this. I was like, shit, I don't have any interest in seeing Frozen. Just, I don't like Adam Green. I don't appreciate what he's able to do with the horror genre. However, I was blown away when I saw this. I thought this was an excellent fucking film because he did, in a lot of ways, which is weirdly enough, I got the George Romero t shirt. He did what a filmmaker like a George Romero would have done. He got a basic concept of three friends on a chair lift, ski lift, and they get trapped, and the horror goes and plays out from there. Number one, I think where he went right was he shot it all on location. You never, this is not a ski lift where you can see the background is just a green screen. You cannot be any less more obvious when you do stuff like that. However, I appreciate that they had the real three actors on an actual lift. They got the DOP, the director, and the producer all up on this fucking crane filming the shots, taking risks in and hazards and all that good stuff into their own hands just to keep the film feeling organic and genuine. And I think personally, as a fan, that just drives the point home so much more for me. I'm able to appreciate it more because I know it could not have been an easy shoot. And it's funny because Adam Green himself said it's three people in a chair. How hard of a shoot can it be? And if you see the making of this film, it must have been a fucking nightmare. You're battling the conditions, you're battling heights, you're battling camera film takes and all this stuff. And like that cannot be easy when you're shooting actually on location in an actual chair. So style points to that. And number two, I think he was able to get characters and actors that all felt very organically homemade. Like, because that's what Romero did best. All his films had that nice homemade feeling, especially ones made in Pittsburgh. They were stage actors from Pittsburgh. They were friends in a diner, like in Dawn of the Dead, David Emge and Scott Reiniger. They actually worked at a diner that Romero ate at, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to be in my movie?" And they're the two stars of his fucking film. There was a waiter and a cook, and he fucking filmed them, and unbelievably, they both gave great performances. Sean Ashmore and Kevin Zegers in real life are actually best friends, and them playing best friends in this, they're able to play off each other very naturally. There's nothing forced there. I like the dialogue a lot between these three: um, Emma Bell, Sean Ashmore, and Kevin Zegers. I just love their chemistry. Of course, Emma Bell is dating Kevin Zegers' character, and then my man Sean Ashmore, he's playing the third wheel. I liked the dynamic. I like their chemistry with each other. Their I think their dialogue and stuff is really well written by Adam Green. I think he does a really good job writing this movie. And again, even though there are funny dialogue moments, it never becomes goofy. There's not really a goofy moment in this movie. When they get trapped on the chair, it is true straight up horror the rest of the way. He didn't fuck with the tone here, and I think that's where he was able to really grow as a filmmaker and make a great movie in Frozen. That's not what he did with the Hatchet films, and that's what I feel he did here. He was able to say, "Hey, let's cut back from the gore a little bit. Let's go with the real life horror of the conditions. We'll throw some wolves in there." And I just think this really works. I really, again, I can't really stress enough how much I enjoy this film. I think it's just wonderful. Let's see. Wow, there's a lot of comments here from two people too. Let's see. I watched it in bed a few weeks ago. Actually, I love the thrillers, horror films that are trapped in the space environment. And man, it's creepy. Frozen, ATM, The Freezer. Oh man. Um, oh dude, The Freezer is underrated. Very tense. Very well done. Yeah. Yes, dude. Yeah, good movie for sure. Love Hatchet, but I get it. Yeah, it's funny. Like it's very love or hate. It's very love or hate film. I just personally like what he did here way better. I tried all four Hatchet films, just wasn't feeling it, man. I think it's just it almost feels like a parody of 80s slashers when it should just fucking go for it. That's my thing. Like I think it should just the tone is just way off with those movies. But here, I think he just nailed it. Love being in these live talking horror films and thriller. It's sick, dude. Yeah, you're more than welcome all the time. Grande, if you can screen share, you should pull up that behind the scenes and we can watch it together. Yeah, no, if I didn't get copyrighted for sure. It is this Blu-ray is dirt cheap though, and it's cool. All the special features, man, they are two really awesome to watch. I'm sure you can find them on YouTube too. They're awesome little special features for sure. Now this movie is tense all the way throughout. The scene where she pees herself makes me cringe so hard. I feel so bad for her. Oh, Amanda's in the easy. What's going on, Amanda? Dude, crazy tough day at work today. I'm fucking glad to be home on the graveyard right now. Least favorite character. Fuck, man. What's weird with this is I grow to like them all. But to start off, I would say Emma Bell's a bit annoying in the beginning. Like she's like forcing to tag along with them. And even Sean Ashmore is like, "You are a fucking bitch. My best friend wouldn't be dead right now if you didn't fucking have to tag along and be in every aspect of his life." I love that. I love that they come to tension in that scene. They just really butt heads. I really like that. But I grew on to like all three of them. I think they really felt natural and they felt like people that like I had talked to in high school or college or whatever. Like they didn't feel like very overly generic or passe characters. They felt real. And I think in a movie like this, that's important because 90% of it is them trapped on a fucking chair. So if you don't like them, if they don't work well off each other, your movie's fucked, no matter how good your cinematography or how good your plot dialogue, they have to play well off each other. And they really do in this. Um, Dude, that was deep. That was tense. Dude, yeah, I know. It really was. And there's again, some of the dialogue scenes in this and some of the cameos I think are a lot of fun. There's one scene where they're trapped up there and you see this guy grooming the mountain and it's fucking Kane Hodder in this like little like mobile and they're trying to, hey, get his attention. They're throwing shit down to him. He, of course, doesn't see it at all and he drives away. You see the director, Adam Green and Joe Lynch, who are best friends in real life. Of course, Joe Lynch, he directed Wrong Turn 2, and they both directed segments of Chillerama. They're actually on the chairlift behind them towards the beginning of the film. And they're like, oh, man, this is bullshit, right? This is bullshit. That's the director and his best friend, Joe Lynch. So that was really cool. Just that throw a little director cameo in there. Of course, you have Adam Rifkin, who's done a ton of stuff in the horror genre. Like weird. Dee Snider's son is randomly in there. Like Adam Green's wife actually plays this side character that Sean Ashmore, he gets her number. And while they're up there, they're trying to remember the number, like he's like 830, and then you got to remember the rest, just fun stuff. And they play off stuff like that. And some of the conversations I think were really cool. Like, all right, top 3 favorite cereals, go, anything to try to make you forget about the situation that they're in because they know from the word go that they're fucked. Right. And like, that's the thing about this movie that I, again, think is really genuine. I mean, they know they're doomed from the start. And one Sean Ashmore, he's trying to get them to think about other things. Kevin Ziggers is thinking about jumping, and Emma Bell is screaming for help, crying her eyes out, slowly getting frostbite right here. It's pretty fucking tense, like Frank was saying. I mean, that's some crazy shit. Of course, Kevin Ziggers decides I'm gonna fucking jump for it. So his dumbass, he's looking at them and shit, and like I don't know, man. This is open for the chat. Would y'all have jumped? If I was gonna jump, I would have got all 3 jackets and I would put them on, like wrap myself. So it would have been a little bit more beefy, right? Then I would have jumped side first, like side first. Granted, I may break some ribs. I may fucking end up cracking my fucking head open. I don't know. You're probably not surviving that fall no matter how you go down. But you fucking don't jump out there leg first. Like, Kevin Zegers jumps out, legs straight as a fucking pencil. And that motherfucker's legs crack like fucking, oh my God. It's actually insane how fucking graphic that scene is when Kevin Zegers takes the leap of faith off the fucking chairlift and cracks his legs and he starts screaming, crying, my legs are broken. Oh my God. Last night when I watched it, I sort of laughed. I'm horrible, I know. But I thought that shit was funny. His delivery in that scene, I was like, oh shit, like, and then of course these wolves, these wild wolves, of course, surround him and eat him alive and shit. And there's a really good, like, really sad scene with Shawn Ashmore and Emma Bell where they look at each other and he says, "Don't look down." And Kevin Ziegler, "Don't let her fucking look, man. Don't let her look." And they hear him get devoured and eaten and all this stuff. And originally I had read that it was going to be really gory and graphic like the Hatchet films. However, Adam Green's called the break. He was like, "Hey, this is not that kind of movie. This is not Hatchet. This is Frozen. This is something completely different. We can show a little bit of gore, but we don't want to go over the top with it because it's not that type of film." And that's where I'm like, oh my God, I just want to get up and applause Adam Green. It's not a gore film. It's really not. And I think in this particular instance, it is more horrifying to hear him get eaten as opposed to seeing it. It's just horrifying as the two of them, his best friend and his girlfriend, hold each other, crying their eyes out, knowing their friend is being eaten alive beneath them. And where that comes full circle is when they're talking about another conversation, what's the worst way to die? And Kevin Ziegler says, "Man, I think being eaten by a shark would be horrible." He says it wouldn't even be the part where you get eaten. It would be seeing the fin coming towards you and knowing that you're done. And that is, in essence, I mean, it's not a shark, it ends up being a wolf, but it's the same exact thing. He feels the shark or wolves, if you will, coming for him, and he knows that he's doomed because he has two broken legs. It's really a horrifying scene. It's really well done. Let's see. Ben Grimm's in the house. What's going on, good brother? Hope all is well. You're supposed to fall hoping to land with most of your body hitting the ground. Exactly. I would have just like three coats because then this way I'm not taking as much of a brunt, right? Like if I jumped off of a fucking building with a mattress like beneath me, most of the impact's going to come from the mattress. There's going to be some recoil. I'm going to get fucking hurt. But odds are if I break a couple ribs, I can get up and fucking stumble to the lodge. You jump down leg first, motherfucker. You're going to break your fucking legs like Kevin Ziegler does, man. And it's sticking out like fucking Popeyes, man. It was bad. The Flow Chamber is in the house. Dude, welcome to the graveyard. I've never seen your name before. Welcome. You saw the film in the theater. That is fucking cool. I know it got a very limited theatrical run, but that's really cool you saw this in the theater. I saw this, I believe, I think I bought the Blu-ray of this. Like I heard a lot of good hype and I said, hey, screw it. I'm going to give this a chance. But yeah, I'm glad I did because this is a really well done film. But welcome to the show, The Flow Chamber. I'm glad to have you. I also like that the wolves aren't the main threat like other movies would do. They're just a side of, yes, exactly. You know, it's funny. In another world, this movie could have just been called Wolves, right? Like if they were the main leads, but they face and focus on the cold. You have Emma Bell, she has really bad frostbite on her face. And there's a scene where she falls asleep with her hand on the bar. And when she goes to pull up, her skin is fucking frozen to the bar. So when she pulls up, all the skin on her hand comes off. Really good practical effects work. Again, it's not that hard. It's not rocket science. It's actually a really simple movie when you think about it. Like little makeup there, a little fucking stretched latex here to make it look like she just fucking ripped her skin off. It all works effectively. And to know once again that there's not a green screen behind them and that this wasn't just shot in a fucking backlot somewhere, it adds a lot. Their performances become so much more believable because they're in a believable spot above this fucking ski resort. It's really, really cool. Hey, Mac Ben. JP's in there. Easy, what's going on? Those wolves had the munchies. Dude, they ate that poor kid from Air Bud. And I know you know this, he was the drug dealer in season 4 of Power. Or season 5. Was it season 5? Season 6? I forget, but Tariq's teacher, who's like selling coke out of his fucking trunk, that fucking preppy dude. That's this actor, who is also the actor from Air Bud grown up, which I thought was fucking wild, man. Air Bud, you could have came and saved this motherfucker instead. fucking wolves ate his ass. It's sad. But if you take the other coats, you're leaving your friends to freeze to death. The lodge is closed. No one is near. That's again, yeah, that's true. It is a fuck situation. Yeah, there was no way out of it. However, I will say if there's one of them that it can get down and then somehow get to the cops or somehow get to a phone, they would only have to last so long. Whereas, I mean, he fucking jumps down and breaks his legs. I mean, he's fucking wolf meat, you know? I think I just personally, like, if I was going to jump, if somebody said, Ryder, you have to jump. You have to be the one of us to jump. That's how I would do it personally. I don't know. I could be wrong. Um, uh, yes, it's him. I swear it's him. It's Kevin Zegers, who I love. He's an awesome actor. Weirdly enough, I just thought it was weird that him and Iceman show up together and they're best friends in real life. I think it's really, really cool. But again, I really like the dialogue between our lead female and Shawn Ashmore, and they're talking about who it should have been to jump. They're basically blaming each other for his death. And that's a really intense scene as well, where she kind of mutters, it should have been you. And he goes, what? And she's like, I said nothing. I said nothing. Like she immediately tries to retract the statement. And he goes, go ahead, say it. Say it. It should have been me. And there's this whole thing where, and he just goes off on her. He goes, it's your fault that he's fucking dead. My best friend wouldn't be dead right now if you hadn't fallen your ass all day on the bunny hills and we could have got some real fucking skiing and snowboarding in. But instead, you forced yourself in and my fucking best friend just got eaten by wolves, bitch. And there's this whole like, you're like, oh my God, they hate each other. There's no way they're going to be able to work together to get out of this situation. And your heart goes out to both of them. You do feel a big sense of sympathy for both of them. At least I did. I totally was like, damn, I feel terrible right now. But the next morning they start talking, and I love these little character moments. Again, harken back to what George Romero did in his films with Dawn of the Dead, like all these little nice character moments that films like this sorely miss usually, in my opinion. Um, there's a scene where he discusses how he met Kevin Zegers' character Dan. He goes, I was in little, kindergarten, and Dan was a fat kid, and nobody wanted to sit near him, and all this stuff. And the teacher said, you got to pick somebody to sit next to today. And he picks Shawn Ashmore's character. He said, I had to share my table with that fat ass the rest of my fucking life, and that's just one of those nice little stories of how friends become friends. He was just this fat kid that was asked to sit with him, and through that they formed companionship, and I really like that. And there's also a scene where Shawn Ashmore, Emma Bell's like, hey, why are you always single? Why are you always the third wheel? And you're getting mad at me for tagging along. And he says, hey, I had this girl that I had a huge crush on freshman year, and we had the same favorite movie and all this stuff. And she was interested in this other guy. And one day we were sitting eating lunch, and the guy was behind me making fun of me. And she was laughing, making fun of him. He turns around and he can't see the guy, and it just, again, you feel really bad because anybody who's been that third wheel, what he means in that moment. It's just, it's a horrible, it sucks, man. It sucks being the third wheel. Let's be honest. And that was an aspect too, that does it have to be in there? No, but it makes you care about him more, makes you root for him more. Hey man, this guy's eating some shit in his life. I really hope he can get down from this fucking ski lift. And he comes to the realization, he looks at her and he says, listen, my friend didn't die for nothing. We're going to get down from here. And he decides, I'm going to cross, try to monkey bar my way across this like razor sharp line. And he's going for it. And like, oh my God, his hands just get all cut up because that ski lift wire, it's super razor sharp. Like, I believe somebody was saying, I was reading a forum on this or whatever, that if you took like a metal chain and like tried to like ride it down vertically, that chain would eventually just rip in half because it would just, the wire is so fucking sharp. It's crazy. So imagine trying to monkey bar your way across to get to the ladder. And it's such an intense scene as he's doing it. And the wolves are below, like kind of waiting for him to fall. And your heart's beating out of your chest. Of course, he does make it there. He tries to get down the mountain and they edit away where Emma Bell sort of gets down too. And then the whole rest of the movie kind of plays out where Emma Bell gets down the mountain. She sees Shawn Ashmore has been eaten by the wolves. And the reason they don't eat her is because they're too busy eating him. And like, it's one of those things where she locks dead eyes with the wolf. And it's just a really, you're like, oh my God, they're all going to die right now. Nope. Emma Bell gets to the base of the mountain. And again, they actually pull kind of like a false ending where they start showing shots of the mountain. And I'm like, oh my God, are you going to end here where she just dies in the road? But no, a car comes and picks her up and drives her to safety as the guy tells her, assures her she's going to be okay. And then we hear Kevin Ziggers from earlier in the film saying it's going to be okay. I was just floored by that. I was floored by the happy ending. I thought, no way that any of them are going to make this out alive. This is Adam Green. I don't see this happening this way. And like the reason I really ended up liking it is because I grew to like all these characters, and it was nice to see one of them get out. And it was nice to see that Sean Ashmore didn't die for anything. Granted, he died a morbid way. He got eaten by all these wolves, and that's the only reason that Emma Bell survives the film. But I thought that was, he died for her, and just a minute ago they were clashing heads, and I thought that was really really smart way to tackle all these characters. There's a little bit of hostility after Dan dies, but even though they're butting heads, they work together, and at least one of them does get down and survives this movie. I liked that, and I thought the music was in really, really well placed spots. Like it's this kind of piano score, really slow, and then kind of builds up with this more orchestral score. I like the score of this film. It's not used too much, but when it's used, I think it's effective. And I got to say, hats off to Adam Green, because I remember around this time too, he was doing the whole campaign, like only unrated horror, right? Like when Hatchet 2 was coming out, he was furious that it get a big theatrical release. And he was furious that they gave it an R rating initially. So he was like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm going the unrated route. And the whole campaign was called Support Unrated Horror, like Adam Green's Hatchet 2. It was included. It wasn't just support unrated horror, which is what the campaign should have been, but they went the whole like Adam Green's Hatchet 2. Like, I get it, my guy, but that's a little bit fucking self-indulgent to me. Like, hit the brakes there. I get it. I hear where you're coming from, but hit the brakes there, brother. I get it. You know what you really need to do, though, is you got to harken back to this. This is R-rated horror, and man, I think this is better than any film Adam Green has made before this or since this. And I mean that wholeheartedly, because I think, number one, he got the tone right, the genuine characters, the actual filming locations, the story. I think it just all hits home. The music, I really, really enjoy this film. I don't have any real gripes or nitpicks with it. And I appreciate it for its simplicity. I really appreciate it for its simplicity, where it's a movie that it could have done so many different things with this concept. It really played it safe and it really played it simple. And I think that's why it works. He didn't try to do too much here. And I think in a lot of ways, I'd like to see him go back to that. Stop trying to do so much. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel, if you will, with slasher movies and Digging Up the Marrow, which is more of like a mockumentary documentary film. But I just wish he'd harken back to stuff like this, because I do think that there's talent there. And it was a moment where this movie ended and I went, I was wrong about Adam Green. And I am a full proponent of, I want to be proven wrong if I think less of you. I really do. I wanted to be like, show me why Hatchet has a fan base. Show me why people follow you and watch your films. Show me why. Adam Green showed me why with Frozen. And I like absolutely was blown away when I saw it. And even 11 years later, rewatching it last night, it still holds up. It's a really, really well made, really good horror film. I love Frozen. I'm going to come in at the solid 8.5 out of 10. Just love this movie. I think it's really, really well done. Love Frozen. We got a couple of comments. Yeah, he had the most heroic death in a way. Yeah, for sure. It's morbid because, of course, him being eaten is the only reason she survived. But still, it's nice that she survived. Somebody survived. You do make a good point. The happy ending is subversion. I don't think they were going to make it. Yeah, I didn't think so either. I thought they were all going to die. I thought they do. The guy that jumped would just like die of blood loss. Then the guy that made it across, he gets eaten by wolves, and then she just like freezes to death. I thought that would be how it ended. Like one of them died each way, like one died from the fall, one died from being eaten, one died from being the conditions. But they didn't go that route. They actually went with a happier ending. And I thought it was nice to see one of them get down there. Every now and again, I do really like that sappy, happy ending where, hey, we got out of this. it can become cliche, but so can being killing all the characters off. I mean, there's so many movies now where it's like, oh, we got to end on a downbeat ending. We got to set it up for a second one. This movie doesn't play into any of those politics, and that's why I really appreciate this movie. So that is Frozen from 2010. I highly recommend you all check that out. If you do not have the Blu-ray, it is on Hulu streaming, I see, for free here. So if you have not seen it or you want to give it a rewatch, I think there's no better time than what's going on right now with all the snow and winter and whatnot. So I highly recommend Frozen. But that brings us into, oh man, I gotta say, I want to say classic. You know, I will say it. I think this next movie is a horror classic, and I think it is arguably one of the best killer kid films of all time. I mean, of course, you have The Bad Seed, you have The Good Son, you have Mikey, which is a really like funny one from the early '90s. I believe Ashley Lawrence was in that. Really, I like killer kid films. I'm kind of a sucker for them, but this might be the best one, man. And it is none other from 2009. It is, I apologize if I pronounce this name incorrect, Jaime Collet Serra. It is his film Orphan from 2009, starring Vera Farmiga, Peter Sarsgaard, and the legendary Isabelle Fuhrmann, who plays Esther the orphan here. We had a comment here. I still need to see Orphan, but I remember that being a big deal when it came out. Yes, that's the thing too with this that like I totally remember is this had super crazy buzz when it came out. I remember this was I was early to middle school at this point, and you got to remember that was where Saw was just. I mean, I think they were by part 5 or part 6 by 2009. Saw was really, I mean, it ran the fucking show, and it seemed like up until Paranormal Activity came out in '07, that was the movie that really kind of challenged Saw. And then in between there, you got some hidden gems, and I think you look no further than this movie because this, I think, is a fucking really, really well made film. And like, yeah, I remember word of mouth, and I remember people in school talking about this movie, being like, "Yo, you got to see the fucking Orphan. You'll never believe the twist." And it was like, yeah, really? And then I remember seeing it being like, holy fucking shit. Like, that's a great fucking horror film. Now, weirdly enough, this was produced by the one and only Leonardo DiCaprio. I thought that was absolutely wild when I was reading into some of the research for this one. Leo himself put up, I believe, $5 million of his own money to produce this movie. And I just think that's so cool, man. Leo had his hands in this. I don't know if Leo was at the premiere. I've looked so hard. I couldn't find an interview where he talked about this film, but it's really, really cool that he put the money behind this to make this film. Thought that was just really weird kind of fun fact. But yes, Leonardo DiCaprio, producer of this film, weirdly enough. We got some comments here. I got to rewatch. Totally, man. It took me 10 years to rewatch it. It blew me away still, man. Ty Junebug Films and Ahizi, dude. I appreciate you coming at all. No, not worried about being late. Definitely one of the most memorable horror movies in recent years. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And it's funny because I did take a long layoff with this one, but man, rewatching it was just floored by it. I have a little bit of a plot synopsis here. A husband and wife who recently lose their baby adopt a 9-year-old girl who is not nearly as innocent as she appears. Yes, Orphan, man. This movie, I gotta say, for a big budget, mainstream, $20 million movie that Leonardo DiCaprio had his hands in, mind you, this movie has balls. And that's why I think the number one thing I like about it. Is it really well directed? Yes, and the director's gone on to make some really good movies. I believe he's worked with Liam Neeson quite a few times on The Unknown. He's made a few films with Liam Neeson. His resume is actually incredible. He doesn't have a bad movie on there. This director, he does a great job. I think he really shoots this and makes this feel like an old school thriller, like in the similar vein of movies like Fatal Attraction or movies around the early '90s like that. I think he does a really, really good job at making this feel like a thriller. But where I think the real horror comes in is from the writing. And I think that the writer just does a really, really good job. I want to get his name here. David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick. That's a handful of that's a handful of a name. But man, I think he does a really, really good job with making this movie go the extra mile. Now, if you had a tame writer or a writer that's going to play it safe, this would have been more paint by the numbers thriller, and there would have been nothing wrong with that. However, what I was saying, man, why this movie has balls, it really does go for it. There are some scenes in this movie that just blow me away where I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, this is absolutely bonkers. Basically, you have the setup where Peter Sarsgaard, not Skarsgård, that's the guy from It. Him and Vera Farmiga from the Conjuring films, of course, that's what she's pretty much become mainly known for now. They adopt this kid Esther, and she seems on paper, I mean, the white meat babyface, if you will. I mean, she knows how to play the piano. She has her hair in like the old school, pigtails. She dresses really like suave, and they bring her home because she just seems larger than life. And at first, she hits it off with the kids, right? She hits it off with the little sister, who's actually in real life. I found this out too. She is deaf. The little girl in this is a deaf character, the little sister. And the actress in real life is actually deaf too. She's a cute kid. She didn't give a great performance in this. I gotta say, I thought she did a really, really good job for considering that she was actually deaf, and I don't think she did too much acting after this. I don't know how much of an actress she was, but I thought she did a wonderful job in this. And then the little brother, who initially he kind of has his resentment toward her, and kind of doubts, and slowly but surely this film sort of starts to burn, where we know off the bat that, of course, we're going to a movie called Orphan, and we know it's a horror film, so we know it's going to take a dark turn, but I think the pacing of it is perfect. This is a 2-hour horror film. And you think, man, this probably drags in spots, right? Not at all. This did not drag for me at all, because it's constantly doing that slow burn and keeping you guessing and keeping you thinking and keeping you on the edge of your seat. And that's what any great thriller does. But I like the horror twists and turns it takes. There's a scene where Esther is being made fun of in the school by the school bully, and she throws her papers on the floor and makes fun of the way she dresses. And we cut to a playground, and we see the little girl. She's kind of eyeing Esther from a little bit back from the jungle gym. And I love how the director shoots this. He shoots this where we were watching the one girl in the jungle gym, Esther's sitting on the swing, and we're cutting back and forth between them, and then when he cuts back to Esther, she's gone. And you're like, oh shit, like shit's about to go down. Like, it's one of those moments where you're like, you just lean forward. You're like, oh my God, like what the fuck? And the way he shoots it is he somehow makes a jungle gym scary. It's this kind of wood playground. And this one girl, she's looking and trying to find Esther maybe. And she thinks she sees her around the corner, and these two kids pop out. This is these two little kids that were playing themselves. And she's like, shit. She lets her guard down for 1 minute, and Esther pops out of nowhere. Boom, pushes that bitch off of a slide. And you see this fucking like 8-year-old girl, her fucking leg just snaps in fucking half. It like hits the side of the slide. And she just eats shit onto the fucking snow. And like, oh my God, the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh shit. Like, that movie has balls, man. What other horror movie is going to do that to a 9-year-old innocent? Well, she wasn't innocent. She was a fucking bully, I'll be honest. But very rarely you're going to see a little kid getting pushed off a fucking high fucking slide and breaking her leg, and you see everything. I just thought that was really, really fucking like wild and really well directed. I thought the tension and the payoff, all that stuff, it was just crescendoed perfectly. That's what this director did perfectly. He knew what he was doing, and the story is really good too. So those two things kind of just work together, and you get the result that you get. There's a scene where they're dropping off the kids at school. The mother is, and Esther cuts the son's book bag, so his books fall out. And the mother, oh, I'll come and help you. She runs out of the car, and fucking Esther gets in the seat, and she sees that the deaf child, she's like strapped in, and she fucking puts the car in neutral and hits, off the brake, and the fucking car starts rolling back down a hill, like an icy hill. And like the mother's like, oh shit, run after the kid. Oh my God, man, that's fucking crazy. Granted, nothing does happen to the daughter. Like she just hits a snowbank and survives. But still, man, the balls to do that, to have a 5-year-old child in the backseat of this car, and then this bitch literally just pushing her off the ledge in the car, just watching her go down as Vera Farmiga is chasing and screaming and crying. Amazing. I just thought that was amazing. There's a scene where one of the nuns from the orphanage that Esther was at. She comes to the house, and wherever Esther goes, it seems like trouble finds her, and all this stuff, trying to give those heeding warnings, if you will. And of course, Esther grabs the little sister and goes, "We're gonna kill this bitch." Basically, we're gonna kill this fucking nun. So she pushes the little girl who's deaf onto the road. The nun barely fucking avoids her, swerves out of the way. She gets out. Are you okay? Are you okay? Fucking Esther comes out of bumblefuck nowhere with a hammer. Whacks this fucking nun right in her eye. I put that as the thumbnail of this video just because, like, rewatching, I had forgotten that scene somehow. I don't know how, but I did. And I was like, oh, like, I fucking jumped to my feet when I saw that. Really crazy. Like, fuck this nun. This bitch says trouble follows me. Bitch, trouble's following you. Wham! Hits that bitch with a hammer. I just marked the fuck out. I love that scene. Just epically. And again, really well fucking done, from a directing standpoint. Like, you're like, oh my God, you just pushed this girl out as live bait, and then, of course, suckered the nun in to let her guard down, and bam, you just got a fucking hammer to the head, bitch. Absolutely crazy. There's also, which, it's big controversy, is the finale. Um, and man, when I first saw that, I was super uncomfortable. Basically, so spoilers. I mean, obviously, I always give spoilers. Um, but yeah, I could not believe the sort of twist towards the end of this film. You basically have Esther slowly but surely trying to make everybody believe that Vera Farmiga's character's gone nuts because she had a miscarriage, unfortunately, with her third child. That's actually how the film opens. She learned she had a miscarriage. There's this really scary dream sequence. And she's trying to make everybody think that she's going nutty, that it's not her pulling all the strings on these things. It's actually Vera Farmiga going nuts. She finally gets everybody to buy into it, and they're going to probably put Vera away. And there's this point where the dad is just sitting down and he's just stressed out for everything that's happened. And he starts drinking some fucking alcohol or whatnot. And Esther, like, dolls up for him. She puts on a black dress. She puts on mascara, makeup, all this shit. And I remember watching this being like, what the fuck? What? She works her way down there and she's like, I love you, daddy. And you're like, what the fuck? She's like, I love you, daddy. And he's like, oh, I love you too, baby. And they kiss, she kisses him on the cheek and she goes, no, I love you. And then, like, he's like half asleep, half drunk, half whatever. And he just, like, it takes him a little bit to realize that she's trying to come on to him. And, like, he fucking he's like, what the hell? He's like, I love you, but not that way. And Esther does not take this news well. She takes her fucking teeth out. You see, she has these nasty, like, black teeth. And around where she had her bracelets and her necklaces, you see these scars. And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? We go on to find out that Esther is not actually 9 years old, innocent child. Esther is a 33-year-old woman who has gone foster home to foster home, killing everybody who took her in these awful, bizarre ways. And I just thought, how fucking genius is that? Because every other killer kid film, it is just that. It's a killer kid. And that's what makes it scary, right? Knowing that something as sweet and innocent as a child can be morbid, can be horrifically portrayed. And that's the great psychology behind it. But props to the writer here for going the extra mile, saying, no, that's not believable. There's not a kid as evil as Esther because she's an adult. She is the fear that we are, adult people. She's a regular 33-year-old woman that she's just trying to get banged by her dad. Fucking insane. Like, absolutely. But I remember being like, oh my God, they just went there. Very ballsy. Very fucking ballsy. And I really appreciate them going for that. They didn't have to, but I think it makes this movie stand out above the rest, because if they didn't have the twist at the end, if this was she's a crazy killer kid, it would be effective. Don't get me wrong. But that scene where she comes on to the dad, I think it's the scariest scene in the film, because, like, nobody could have possibly had their guard up for that. Like, I fucking like when I saw it, I was like, what the hell, man? Like, and I remember as a kid seeing it in the theater, everybody in the theater was like, what? Oh, you know, you heard you gasps and sighs and popcorn fly in the air. Everybody's like, what the fuck? You know, nervously laughing because of how uncomfortable it is. That's what makes it horrifying. It's the uncomfortable, unsettling aspect to that. It's absolutely incredible. We got a bunch of man. I may have to scroll up all the way to the top here. Let's see. I think we were up to Frank's here, bro. Dude, yeah, it really does. This movie has some fucking balls. I love Orphan. My anxiety was through the roof. She breaks her arm on the. Yo, yes, that's a fucking crazy. Yo, there's so many crazy scenes of this. Well, I haven't even gone halfway into it. Yeah, there really are. There really are. Oh, AJZ Joe's going to be here next week. Buddy, you better study up on your horror trivia, okay? Because the quiz is completed. I gave it to somebody, and it was tough, all right? It was tough. They did not win at all. They didn't even get past the second question, actually. So let's hope you make it further. Zetro, Aiden's in the house. What's going on, good brother Aiden? Hope all is well with you. I like the drive Jesus Christ, what the hell? Avatar there, if you will. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Love that movie. That's a really, really good movie. We're talking about Orphan. Nice. Can't believe, dude, yeah, Leo is behind this. Isn't that fucking weird? So strange because he doesn't strike me as a horror fan. Jesus Hernandez, the Jesus is in the house, dude. Welcome to the graveyard. Glad to have you. Love the Orphan, dude. I'll have to second you on that because this movie, man, super underrated. It's funny because like when it came out, it had a huge like following, but I haven't heard like too many people talk about it now. I know that there's a prequel coming out, which is going to be directed by William Brent Bell, who brought us The Boy, who brought us Stay Alive, who brought us The Devil Inside a Bitch. I mean, I don't have any hope for that movie anymore. Like, that motherfucker, he's bad. Trenchy's in the house. Yeah, hell yeah. She's a horn dog in the flesh. Dude, yeah, she's a little fucking pervert, man. She's trying to bang her dad. That's just fucking wrong and unsettling. Yeah, the Jesus is in the heezy. You saw it in theaters. That's awesome. Yeah, I did see this in theaters. I saw this. I believe I saw this with my uncle and my cousin. And the fucking holy shit, like we walked out just like looking at each other like, what the fuck did we just watch, man? It's cool actually. The actress in real life is around my age. I think she's a year older, a year younger, somewhere around there. Isabelle Fuhrmann. Her performance cannot be understated in this. I think she just absolutely, probably should have been up for some awards because she's scary, but she never goes over the top with it. And even though the movie goes over the top, she never does. She keeps this movie very grounded. Her and Vera Farmiga, their performances ground this movie as a whole. And I think it really makes it work. And it really makes the far-fetched twist of, oh, she's a dwarf that's 33 years old trying to bang her dad. Somehow they make you buy it. That's how well it's directed and acted. It's really, because it could have very well been, laughed at, cheesy. You could see that scene and laugh, but no, like this, it's fucked up. Like you're just like, what the hell, man? And that's hard done right, in my humble opinion. Jesus, yeah, Orphan would have been a fun film to see. Dude, totally. I would love to see this get a re-release of some sort. Like when the new one comes out, maybe for like a month or something. I would love to go back and see this in the theater. It was great. Market 8, dude. Smokey, you stepped over the line. That prequel is gonna suck, dude. Yeah, I don't have any fucking hope for that. Once I heard that William Brent Bell was directing it, I took a fucking knee. I was like, all right, rest in pepperonis. That ain't gonna be fucking worth the shit. William Brent Bell is one of the shittiest fucking active filmmakers in the world. But I don't know, I'm not a fan of him. But there's so much in this that you can go into. And like, there's a couple more. Frank reminded me of the scene where she does break her arm to make it look like that Vera Farmiga has been beating her. There's a scene where the little brother, he sees her like up to no good. And she shows up in his room like really late, the kid's sleeping. And she's got a box cutter. And he's like, what the fuck? She has the box cutter to his throat. Little kid, right? Little fucking 10-year-old boy. She's like, listen to me. She goes, what'd you fucking see? And he's like, I didn't see shit. I didn't see shit. She goes, yeah. And she fucking points the fucking box cutter at his dick. And she goes, you see this? You see this right here? She goes, this little fucking, I'm going to cut off this little hairless prick before you even know what it's used for. fucking holy shit. Like, when I was like, oh my God, hearing that come out of a 9-year-old's mouth is not right, but it's so fucking terrifying, man. Again, I cannot stress how good Isabelle Fuhrmann's performance is in this. And I'm glad that she went on to get roles in stuff like The Hunger Games. I know she's going to be in the prequel. I don't know how they're going to do that. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a CGI, like what they do with the Irishman or something like that, make her look younger. I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do. Granted, I don't think it probably has 138th of the budget that the Irishman had, especially knowing William Brett Bell is behind it. I don't know. For all I know, the twist will be that the orphan and the boy take place in the same fucking universe or something. I don't know. It'll be something retarded like that. Like Brahms and Esther are brother and sister or something. That would be wild. Something I could only expect from Mr. William Brett Bell. Um, but yeah, man, this movie, it really does go for it. And I really like the third act where Vera Farmiga, she solves all this stuff about Esther. She knows that she's a 33-year-old in a child's body. They have this epic little battle, and there's this really great little chase scene with the deaf daughter, and Esther steals her hearing aids. So the tension is on because this kid can't hear. It's all feel and see. And she has to use her other senses to avoid Esther. Really, really good stuff for the director to work with there, and he absolutely executes it on it. I really like how the whole finale of this is shot. It's like a really cold night, and they have this whole battle in the ice between Esther and Vera Farmiga in this ice, underneath, punching each other. And then Vera Farmiga goes, "Mommy, don't let me go!" And Vera Farmiga goes, "I'm not your mommy." Wham! Kicks that bitch right in the neck. Her neck fucking breaks, and then of course we see Esther kind of slowly like drown in the icy waters as the cavalry arrives. Just brilliant, man. Just a really, really brilliant fucking movie. That I really appreciate because number one, even though Killer Kids has been done, this was an original take on it, and it was approached from the director like it was a thriller. So he directs it like that, and then the story, that's where we get our best horror aspects. And where they do have some cliches, where, of course, Esther likes to sing classical music and hum while she's in the bathroom, like the goody two shoes appeal that make you go, oh, well, she couldn't be that bad. Of course, the father has her back on every single thing in this movie. She's not that bad. She's just a little kid. She's just a little kid when we know that's not the case. But I do think that he was able to execute on all of these elements. And like, I think it really rounds out to be a really great little movie, and a movie that runs over an hour and a half that to me never felt long at all. And in my opinion, I would have loved to have seen another one of these. I know they're going to do the prequel, but I would have liked to have seen a follow up maybe around that time. But at the end of the day, too, I'm glad it's a standalone movie. I'm glad this never needed a sequel, even though I wouldn't have minded one. It certainly didn't need it. And it came out at a time where Paranormal Activity and Saw ruled the land, yet still made a lot of money. I believe this made close to $80 million. I don't know if that was because of Leo's involvement. I know Leo put up a lot of money for this, so maybe, just maybe, this got a better theatrical release. But I definitely think that this was a movie that got spread through word of mouth. Like, whoever went and saw it was like, you got to go fucking see Orphan, and that's organically getting over again. And like, I really appreciate that. Even though this movie at times uh, could be looked at in a lot of different lights, I think at the end of the day, it's taken very seriously, and it's done really well from every single aspect. I love Orphan. I think this is a great little movie. Huge fan of this, and I would give this a solid 9 out of 10, man. Huge fan of The Orphan. This was a fun one to revisit for sure. Um, oh, The Boy is the worst. Yeah, I could fucking see, like, because I know he's gonna make the prequel. I could totally see like some kind of like shitty, like, Brahms will be in the corner or something. Oh, Brienne's in the house. Brienne, welcome to the graveyard. Brahms. This is Brahms. This is Brienne. She's great people. She actually hooked me up with the Sam NECA figure. So Brienne, yo, hold on, you'll love this. I got this with my T-shirt tonight. You'll appreciate that. Trick or treat sticker, right? Pretty fucking cool. Also got this atomic cherry candy, which is badass. Let's see. Definitely got to rewatch Orphan at some point. Dude, the Blu-ray goes for next to nothing. I highly recommend it. I don't think it's on any streaming services. Yeah, it's available to rent on Prime, but I don't know. It was definitely, I think, a really solid little flick. I thoroughly enjoyed. Um, But yeah, I don't know. These were both really, really fun to revisit these movies. I had a blast. I thought it was fun that they were both taking place around the winter time. So I figured, why not just do these two? Because I had just recently, I was talking about this and I was like, oh man, I'd like to go back and rewatch that. And the same case with this. I was like, shit, why the hell not? Give it a whirl. Um, but yeah, it was a fun topic for sure. Before I go, I promised this earlier. We're going to try this on camera. The toxic waste cherry atomic candy. Again, I don't know why it doesn't render, but I said I promised, so we're going to try this on camera here. Oh man, see, Fright Rags always hooks you up nicely with these. Um, oh man, dude, this is going to be crazy. Little atomic cherry bomb here. Okay, not horrible. Definitely not too strong. Maybe it's one of those, it'll like get stronger as it goes. That's always the ones that happen. You talk shit, and then woo, yeah. See, got a little kick to it now. Oh my god, woo, that is a sour motherfucker. I can definitely see atomic there. Oh my gosh, that is fucked up. But one more time though, for people that weren't here earlier, I got this awesome shirt in, and that's why they actually came with this awesome candy and the sticker and of course the Tom Atkins card. You can't beat that. It's George Romero tee. Badass Godfather of the Dead, baby. Only the best for Fright Rags. That kid deserved it. He was shooting birds. Dude, that fucking, the Orphan, man, is so crazy. Like, I love how hardcore that movie goes. And, like, it had just balls. Like, that kid, like, fuck it, I'm going to push this kid off the jungle gym. She's going to break her leg in half. Like, what? Like, crazy. And I'm going to try to seduce my dad at the end of this. Like, absolutely crazy, man. I adore The Orphan. I think that's an epic film. But yeah, I guess we can probably wrap it up here. Next week we're going to have Mr. Zitro on the show for a little Maniac. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're talking the original 1980 Maniac with Joe Spinell, and then of course the Elijah Wood remake from 2012, directed by Frank Calhoun. It's going to be a fun show, and of course we're ending with a little Who Wants to Be a Millionaire horror segment, and that is going to be a lot of fun. I got a quiz for AJ. He's all ready. We're going to see what he can do. If he wins, there might be a prize involved. And you as the viewers don't miss it, because he actually will need lifelines. He's got 3 lifelines, 50-50, Ask the Audience, and Ask Grande. Of course, you guys are the audience, so he can ask you on any question what your opinions are, and that should be a really, really fun way to wrap the show next week. But yeah, I want to say thank you everybody for joining. Dude, Tretchy, thank you so much. Stay frosty too, my friend. Stay safe in this fucking tundra we're living in over here. I'm so sick of the snow. I love the snow, but man, I'm done with the snow already. I'm completely burnt out on the snow. But everybody, thank you so much. This was a really, really fun time talking all things Orphan and Frozen. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. We will be next week on the Graveyard, but for now, that's going to be all from me. I am the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names of kicking candy ass. Live and Luke over here with you on Grande's Graveyard. We will catch you next time. Too sweet. Peace out.